Hello there and welcome back. In the previous videos, you have learned how to remove the hair strands. In this video, let's learn to add few. So first of all, we will clear this dark spot on the eyebrow right over here. And for that, I'm taking the clone stamping tool again and reduce the opacity of my clone stamp tool to 20 or 30%. And on a new layer, just carefully sample the surrounding area, and it's going to create a muddy dirty effect over here, and we'll take care of that by adding few hair strands over there later. So before that, let's make this area lighter. So you have to repeatedly brush over the dark area with the sample, and look at this place, it's still looking dark, so we'll increase the opacity of the brush tool and we'll add the light strokes. And since we are working on a new layer, I'm going to reduce the opacity of that layer to match it. And this is looking good to me, and I'm still going to reduce the opacity a little bit, and this is looking normal. Now let's check before and after by making this layer visible and invisible. And in this view, in this window, it's looking good to me. All we have to do is add few hair strands there. And for that, let's take the brush tool and hit F5 on the keyboard. Also, let's create a new layer. Rename this as brow, and take a very tiny brush, go to brush tip shape, and check the size. I'm taking the 3 pixel brush with hardness 100%, spacing make it 1%, and this is how your brush is looking over here. The thickness you need to select which is equal to the hair strands over here. This is looking good to me, and let's try smaller than this, that is 2 pixels. This is also looking good. And now go to the brush shape dynamics over here, and the first control you have to select is fade. Now fade will create thick to thin brush like this, and this is the control. So I'm making it 150 pixels, and this is too big, 150 is too big, so we'll change this to 100 and try it. This is looking good to me. Also, you can make the brush tip size 3 pixels instead of 2. This is also looking good. Again, go back to shape dynamics and change the size jitter, because these hair strands are not straight and like a perfect graphical shape. They have little blurry edges, so we'll use the size jitter, and that will give you these broken hair strands. And then we are going to add some blur filter to it, and that will match with the hair strands over here in the picture. Also, we will add the angle jitter to make it look more natural, and I think that's perfectly all right. Now, if you have the pen tablet, you can use the pen pressure. I have the pen tablet with me, but I'm not using it because most of the beginners don't have the pen tablets. But if you have, it's not very difficult. Just select this option, and then you can use the pen pressure to create this effect, the conical effect. So we'll do with the fade option, and let me take eraser tool E on the keyboard for the eraser tool. First of all, let's close the brush settings and take the eraser tool and erase all these strands we have created. And on the new layer, of course, we'll take the brush tool again and fill in this gap like this. And don't worry about this sharp and dark output. It's perfectly all right. We are going to make it blur, as well as we will also make it transparent by using the opacity. So here we have created the blur patch because we removed the dark mole behind the eyebrows. So again, we'll go to the brush settings, F5, and we'll keep on changing this fade option, sometimes 90, sometimes 110. Little bit of hard work, but let's see if that pays off. I'm stopping it over here, and now we'll go to filter and say blur and Gaussian blur, and carefully select the radius. Now this is looking good. Just check the preview. And say OK to this. I'm also going to say Control L for levels. So to make it darker, you can go this way, and to make it lighter, you can go into this direction with the gamma slider. Again, check the preview. Not much, so cancel this. And if you want, you can also say Control U for hue saturation. And although I've carefully selected the color, it's matching very well, but if your color is not matching, you can try the hue saturation and perfectly match it. And check the preview. This is fantastic. And say OK to this. If you want more perfection, you can again try and add a few more strands. And this is never ending story, but I'll go to filter again and say blur and Gaussian. I'm sorry. I'll again go to filter and say blur and Gaussian blur, and add a little bit of blurriness to this to match to the other hair strands. And let's say OK, and close the brush options settings, and look at this piece over here. And in case if it is not working, simple thing, take the eraser tool, erase some part and redo it all over again. Now you can try this technique on this eyebrow, or if you want, you can try on both the eyebrows and do something better than what I have done over here. Also, you can try this technique on men's portrait for beard and for facial hair, either for removing the hair and for adding the hair strands. With that, I'll end this video. In the next video, we'll do some fantastic retouching on the eyes of this model. So I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.